Good day. This lesson will introduce motion and how to measure a change in position. We will also discuss distance, displacement, and how they are related to different points using frames of reference. Let us join Nelly as she shows us how we experience these aspects of motion in daily life.
From our very beginnings, we're on the move. We're alive and kicking even before we're born. Motion forms part of our earliest childhood memories and is a part of our everyday experience.
Hi, I'm Nelly Mabaso. Join me as we find out about things in motion. Today we're going to start off by describing motion and the position of objects in space. Standing on this road, the cars are moving past me in both directions.
And everything I see from where I'm standing.
As you can see, I am not moving. I am stationary. It's the cars that are moving as they go past me. But am I actually stationary? Am I really not moving?
If you were to look down on the Earth from the sun, you would see it spinning on its axis. In fact, the Earth rotates once every 24 hours. This is why we experience day and night. And since I'm standing on Earth, I must be moving with it. So, to an observer positioned in space, I am clearly spinning.
But if the Earth is constantly spinning, why is it that we don't notice this rotation when we're standing still? Well, the answer is very simple. It is because everything on Earth rotates along with it. So, stationary objects remain in their fixed positions relative to us, which is why we are unaware of the Earth's rotation unless we view it from outer space. So, we describe motion by making continuous observations of the position of an object. We always make these observations from a specific point of view. We call this the observer's frame of reference. For the purposes of this series, the observer will always be stationary. Now let's go back to studio and find out how we can describe motion scientifically. The first important thing to know is that motion always involves a change in position. We describe motion by making observations of the position of an object over a period of time. For example, here the black queen stands still while the white queen moves off. She moves 8 squares to the left, so her position has changed. The black queen maintains her position. We say that she remains stationary.
When we measure position, we can choose a point to start from, which we call the reference point or the origin. We can choose any point, but once we have chosen it, we measure all positions relative to this reference point. If we look again at the chess piece being moved on the board, we can choose the block it starts from as our reference point. We see that this piece moves 8 squares to the left from the reference point. Let us join Nelly again as she explains how to describe the change in position of an object.
How do we describe the position of an object? And how do we describe a change in its position? Position is the point in space where an object is located. When we describe an object's position, we say how far away the object is from the observer. And we also say in which direction they should look to find it. Let's look at another example to illustrate this more clearly. I want you to describe the position of the soccer ball relative to the player. The answer is, of course, that the ball is 2 meters in front of the player.
When we analyze this image, we could say that the origin or reference point is the player. From the player's frame of reference, the ball is 2 meters in front or to the right of him. Look at the image again, but this time take the position of the ball as the reference point. We would say now that the boy is 2 meters behind or to the left of the ball. The way we describe the position is dependent on the reference point or the frame of reference. We have seen a boy with a soccer ball which has 2 meters in front of him. Now let us look at the changes in position. Nelly explains what happens when the ball moves.
But what if the player had kicked the ball? Where will the soccer ball be 1 second later? The ball is now 6 meters in front of him. The ball has clearly changed its position relative to the player. The ball has moved. But in what direction has it moved? Obviously, the ball is moving away from the player, as you can see here. Knowing the position of the ball at each second of its travel gives us enough information to describe its motion. When a body moves, it changes position. We call this change in position displacement. Did you know that cartoons are made using this principle? Cartoonists draw a series of pictures which show gradual changes in position. These pictures are then transferred to film, frame by frame. Then, when the film passes through the projector, the audience gets the impression of movement. For example, this is a series of pictures showing Thabo kicking a ball. When we flip through the pictures quickly and in sequence, it seems as if Thabo is actually kicking the ball. His leg seems to be moving because it changes position in each picture, and we can make him kick the ball faster or slower just by changing the rate at which we flick the pages. The more pages that are flicked per minute, the faster Thabo's leg will appear to move. Because Thabo actually kicked the ball, it took a second to move forward by 4 meters from 2 meters. So its change in position or displacement equals 4 meters forward. Notice that by saying the ball moved 4 meters forward, we have described how far the ball has moved. We call this the magnitude. And we describe in what direction the ball has moved. When a quantity requires both magnitude and direction to be specified, it is called a vector. It is important to note that displacement is a vector. You must always give details of the magnitude and the direction of the change in position when you describe the displacement that has taken place in any motion. You may be wondering why this is so important. Let me try to explain by showing you another very interesting example of displacement. A cricketer throws a ball up in the air. Its change in position at maximum height is 2 meters up. The ball falls down again, and the cricketer catches it in the same position that he threw it from. What is the ball's overall displacement? The ball has returned to its original position, so its overall displacement is 0 meters. There is no change in position. However, this doesn't imply that the ball hasn't moved. All we know from a 0 displacement is that the object has returned to its original position. It's important to note that displacement is not the same as distance. Distance is the path length. It tells us how far the ball actually traveled. So, how far did the ball travel when it was thrown into the air? Let's calculate the distance that it moved. The ball traveled up 2 meters and another 2 meters down. So the length of the path traveled by the ball is 4 meters. In other words, the ball traveled a distance of equals 2 meters plus 2 meters, which is 4 meters. Unlike displacement, distance is a scalar because it only requires magnitude to be specified. Remember, vectors such as displacement require both magnitude and direction to be specified. In the case of the cricket ball, the path length or distance is 4 meters. It doesn't matter in which direction the ball traveled. Okay, we now know that you can describe motion by specifying either the displacement or the distance that an object or body travels.
Now let's join Nelly as she looks at an example with a snail.
It takes the snail 1 minute to move from plant A to plant B, wandering along, leaving a trail behind it. We want to describe its change in position and the distance it has traveled. So let's start by describing its change in position. Measuring the magnitude of the displacement from A to B, we see that it is 400 millimeters or 0.4 meters. Now, to describe its direction, we need to draw an arrow that points from the initial position to the final position. So, we draw an arrow from A to B to represent the snail's displacement. Then we compare the direction of the arrow using a compass. This shows us that the snail moved towards the northwest. So, the snail's displacement is 0.4 meters northwest. Now you need to measure the distance the snail traveled using a piece of string. You will lay the string along the path starting at plant A and ending at plant B. All you do is note your position on the string with your finger all the way up to plant B.
When Nelly measures the length of the string, she found the distance to be 0.6 meters. In this lesson, we have learned about change in position. We have learned that distance is the length of the actual path taken and is a scalar. Displacement is a measure of change of position, and because it is a vector, the direction is always given. Grade 10s, you'll find more information about motion in 1D at www.mindset.co.za/learn. Remember to try some of the questions in the task video too. Goodbye.